experiential learning opportunities. Ritika Mukherji is an alumna of Miranda House, University of Delhi, batch of 2022, and a DST Inspire She Scholar. A keen advocate of broad based interdisciplinary learning, she is a national level skater, a member of Miranda House a cappella group Orpheus, a Trinity College certified keyboard player, and a junior diploma holder in Indian classical music from Prayag Samiti, Allahabad. She is also the founder of Involvement, which aims to mainstream internships, volunteering, mentorship, and entrepreneurship opportunities for Indian undergraduate STEM students. She has recently co authored a research publication on sleep patterns of northern elephant seals that come to breed on beaches of California, for which she worked remotely with a team of at University of California in Santa Cruz under her mentor Jessica. We proudly mention that Ritika Mukherji was selected by the Rhodes Trust for a fully funded scholarship to pursue graduate research at Oxford University in 2022. She is among the 5 students in the country to receive this prestige. In the University of Oxford, she will be pursuing a joint master's and a Doctor of Philosophy in Neuroscience, a 4-year doctoral program. There's still a lot to talk about her achievements and work, but I would stop here and invite her to take on the platform to talk about her experience in Miranda House and her journey from Delhi University to Oxford. I would request all the participants to actively participate in the question answer session, and we encourage them to turn on their videos and then ask their questions in case their network permits. Otherwise, they may also drop their queries in the chat box. Over to you, Ritika ji.
Thank you, Kushi. That was a very nice introduction. I through this talk today, I hope to convey and tell you all my story, my experiences at Miranda House, like Kushi said, and I also hope to answer any questions you all might have regarding internships, anything I say in my journey, and the Rhodes Scholarship if you're interested in applying. I'll just share my screen and request you, Khushi, to let me know if you can see it properly.
Yeah. It is visible.
Okay, and can you see the slideshow?
Yes.
It's okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
So,
it is gone. It is not in the slideshow, but I can see 2 slides at a time.
okay. Let me see. All right. It's okay right now, right?
Yeah.
Great. So today I'll be telling you about ways in which you can probably optimize your undergrad research and experiential learning opportunities. And this I'll do through telling you a little bit about my journey so that with examples so that you can probably think of ways in which you can also tangible ways in which you can also try and enhance your experience of studying for 3 years at DU college or any other college. So the main things that I want you to learn or take home from this talk is that you just have a 3-year bachelor's course and you shouldn't really wait till the second or third year to explore your career interests, your research interests. You could try to reach out to potential mentors early on, and the main way of doing that or communicating is through email, if not other ways. If they permit it, then you can probably try to get in touch with them through their social media also. But whatever you do, you have to do it ethically, effectively, and efficiently. I'll talk more on that throughout the presentation, and try to make the most of your time. It's just 3 years, and it'll just go by very quickly. You should have as much fun as you can and do as much as you are able to, whatever you find interesting, while keeping your grades steady. Always keep your grades steady. Now, having said that, I must tell you all that I studied for 1.5 years online because of the pandemic, and the rest of it was offline. So some of my internships, most of them have been online, and they were very rewarding, contrary to what some people believe. You must, if you get the opportunity, also try and get some online remote internships. There's so much you can learn from those. And throughout your journey, whatever you do, you must always try to write, express as much as you can, either through videos or vlogs. Vlogging is really hot nowadays, and you must try to participate and go beyond your core study area, explore different disciplines. And social media is such a powerful tool because there are so many different kinds of platforms. Every researcher, every person who can be a mentor is also a normal person like you and would probably have social media. And if they're active on it, you can learn a lot about their lives, professional lives, and get in touch with them, learn about new opportunities by um, getting into the correct streams of social media that can guide you. Now, I've divided this talk into my 3 years of undergrad education, my experiences, but everything that I've put in the 3 years is not isolated just to that year. It's just that it is a highlight of the particular year I'm talking about. So you can do all of them throughout or whatever you like. So the first year I spent reading because I thought that I needed to find out what I really wanted to do. As a zoology student, there was so much in my syllabus, such diverse topics. To figure out what I pursue later, I had to read. I had to um, tell myself what fascinated me and put my thoughts together. And these are just some of the books that really influenced me in the first, second, as well as the third year, of which Why We Sleep was the book that told me about sleep in a very scientific, popular science manner, actually. And here I read about a phenomenon on which I worked quite a bit in the next few years. And you must always try to generate evidence of interest. So whenever you're approaching someone for an internship, you're writing an email, you tell them that you're interested in their work, but if you have something to show them that this is why I'm interested in your work, here is something I worked on which is similar to your discipline, um, while working on this presentation, college project, or report, I stumbled upon your work and thought that it was fascinating, then it'll make your application or your email, your communication really stand out. And it's a great way to find out what subjects, what topics really interest you. And while doing this, I think it's a great opportunity to embrace the idea of interdisciplinarity, because no one subject stands on its own nowadays. You can try to integrate all the different subjects you studied in school. And first years, second years, we sometimes feel that we don't know a lot because we haven't done an internship before, or we haven't had maybe a lot of lab experience because of the pandemic. So that's not really true. You have to find the best use of your transferable skills in a research environment, because not all skills come from working in a lab. Maybe you might be good at reading, writing, making sense of things, so you can contribute through literature reviews, which are a very essential part of any kind of research, any kind of hypothesis building. So that's what I did. In the first year, I participated in the DSKC summer research internship in my college in Miranda House, where I wrote a review inspired from the book that I read, Why We Sleep. And I wrote this review on a phenomenon called unihemispheric sleep. And this was very important for me in the years to come, because I sent this to all my potential mentors. They were quite impressed by it, or they told me that they were happy to see the effort. This was not published anywhere, but it was vital in getting me the internships that I did get in the next few years. And first year is also going to be slightly light in terms of academics. So try to participate in as many competitions, quizzes, extracurriculars as you can. Try to learn a new language if you can. It's so nice. As Kushi mentioned, I was an Inspire scholar, so I had to participate in internships as much as I could. I participated in this wonderful quiz by Sir Pune called Mimamsa, where our team became the North Zone toppers, and also went for a competition called Zoo Hackathon, where you had to actually build an app, you had to code and design and build an app to meet a particular animal trafficking related problem. It was organized by WWF India, and I was, as Kushi mentioned, part of Orpheus, where I was singing a cappella music. And this is a picture from our first competition where we placed second. And throughout first year I went for many competitions and met many new people, several universities. We even went to Bits Pilani. It was a out of city trip. So yeah, all of those things really help build you as a person. And I was lucky to be in this wonderful department because I got a chance to participate in this course, this add-on course called the Medical Biotechnology Add-on course that the Department of Zoology in Miranda House organizes. And I request you all to check it out. This department has several different add-on courses, very useful. This actually really opened my eyes to the different kinds of fields, the scope of this subject, not just biotechnology, but biology in general. What is coming? What is happening in the field of biology, biological sciences, technology? It was brilliant. And from here, I met a person, a researcher in Germany, for whom I worked for several years. I wrote scientific literature, and that was a very nice job. And I also got a chance to go for several of these conferences, international conferences, where I presented a paper. All of this is thanks to Rekha ma'am in our department. You can approach her for the medical biotech course. And Simranjeet ma'am and Jyoti ma'am, they helped create a poster which my friend and I presented at this International Summit on Women in STEM. And the thing to learn is that you can get these opportunities only if you ask for them, only if you express your interest. If you do not do that, no one's going to come and ask you whether you would be interested in presenting a poster, whether you'd be interested to attend a workshop or something like that. So you have to express your interest, and only then will you be able to make it to these places. We were very enthusiastic in first year and therefore got selected for these. We were lucky. Then in my second year, I spent my time mostly on internships. This was a poster that I created on one of the internships I did again in my own college with Dr. Monica Sharma and Dr. Sadhna Sharma and their student Priyanka Tank. And this poster presented in another important conference, international conference, and happily won the first prize. And we worked on tuberculosis again. This was also an online project, but our results were really cool and enough to get us first prize. So the moral being here that among in competitions where there are postdocs, doctoral students presenting their research, if you have good okay level of presentation skills, and you're able to communicate your science well, you can as an undergrad do better in that kind of a space. So never think that you don't have enough to show or you don't have enough to tell. You do. And the fact that you're trying to stand up in front of such senior individuals says a lot. And some of my friends as well, my batchmates, also came to present their work at this conference. They were also part of a different group working on similar tuberculosis related projects under these teachers, and they also did wonderfully well. Um, Again, internships, work experience. Managed to receive or secure an internship at the University of California, Santa Cruz. And this is the publication that Kushi was telling you about. It was published in a journal called Animal Biotelemetry, which is published by Springer Nature. And we worked on studying sleep in northern elephant seals, and sleep is what I intend to study at Oxford as well as part of my DPhil and master's research projects. So uh, let me tell you a little bit about how I got into this program. I was just, while I was reading for my literature review for first year, I came across a PhD student's work, Dr. Jessica Kendall Barr. Recently, she became doctor last week. Um, so I came across her work and I stumbled upon her website one day, and I just loved the kind of things she did. It was my dream to do things like her, and I wrote to her through the contact form on her online webpage, and asking that I'm so happy to see your work. It made me really it affirmed my intentions of pursuing research in similar fields, and I was wondering if you would need some help from an undergrad, and I'd be happy to assist remotely from India. And happily enough, she did need help and replied within 2 minutes. And we set up a meeting, and I've been working with her for ever since. It's been almost 1.5 years. And so the message being that you have to write a good email, you have to write a good message in order to receive a reply. There is a term called cold emailing. I don't really like that term. Cold emailing sets off a tone of coldness, and that's exactly how an email should not be. It should not be clinical. You shouldn't be sending emails in bulk, writing dear sir slash madam as the salutation, because that shows that you do not care. You're just trying to write to 100 people and trying probability to get into one internship or two internships. It should not be like that. If you really want to work with somebody, you have to convey it like that. You have to make your email short, crisp, tell them within 1 or 2 paragraphs maximum tops why, what you understand of their work. If possible, like I said, attach an evidence of interest, maybe some kind of a report or some kind of a PDF or something that you have worked on that is similar to their field or that led you to their field to get interested in their work. And tell them why you think, how you think you can contribute, what makes you stand apart from other people, what your background is, how you can work, when you can work, those sorts of things, but short and crisp. And those have been very effective for me because although I applied to the general internship opportunities like the Indian Academy of Sciences, IAS, SRFP internship, I didn't get that. Then I applied to two others. One was IIT Surge, and one was the IIT Kanpur and IIT Roorkee internship programs. I didn't get those either. But whenever I did write a good email, I got an internship. I also happened to intern in AIMS, Delhi. I was selected to intern under them properly offline, but that didn't work out because of COVID. So I worked online. There too, I did a literature review, which the work from which led to a major publication on stem cells. And also take this time to do as many add-on courses and workshops as you can. Now these are just two workshops among many that I did, but these two really shaped a lot about how I will work in the future. One was the scientific illustration workshop organized by IIT Gandhinagar Cognitive and Brain Sciences Center. um, the other is the Biostatistics, a User's Perspective workshop by ICER Pune. Now, how do you get to know about these things? You get to know about these things if you are active on LinkedIn or Twitter and follow these people, right? They have routine workshops. Most of them are free, even if they are not. It's a very minimal charge, and the quality of teaching is wonderful. The biostatistics workshop is an annual workshop. It will be held again next year, 2023. So anybody who's interested, please take a look. They try to teach biostatistics using as less math as possible, and it's wonderful place to start learning this discipline. And the scientific illustration workshop, this person who teaches it, Mr. Rafiq Maboor, he teaches it not just in IIT Gandhinagar's Cog Sciences Center, but there are several others. He runs his own academy called the Sai Dart Academy. So anyone who's interested, please check it out. And you must always try to look for opportunities to interact with people from other disciplines, because that tells you about the scope of your own study. Now, I was lucky that in my second year, I got to study a generic GE elective paper called Quantum Chemistry and Spectroscopy. Generally, zoology students do not get this option, but we asked and we did get it. And Dr. Amrita Tripathi Sheikh from the chemistry department, she taught us this paper, the theory part, and we had some really nice practical teachers as well. And it was so different from anything I had ever studied before. It told me so much about the physical world, the chemical aspects of the physical world, and how much it relates to biology, biological sciences. If you read the paragraph in this screenshot, it just tells you how biology is totally dependent or can be explained so beautifully through the lens of chemistry, physics. And another program that Miranda House had organized, the Indo-Dutch Collaborative Program, Diversity and Cultural Context. This again was an online program this year because of that year when I participated, because of the pandemic. This year it's not online anymore. So here I learned a lot. As a science undergrad, I had never been exposed to the study of social sciences in an academic environment. Here we got to work with, we were all paired with one Dutch student, and my friend who I was paired with, her name is Mariam, and is Mariam, sorry, and we turned out to be really good friends. She was a social science graduate at Utrecht University, and cross disciplinary thinking is what I took home from this workshop. It told me how to interact with international audiences, how to present in front of an audience that does not know your background, how to explain your culture to them. So this is something I wrote from after attending this workshop. Anyone who's interested, please read it, and I encourage you to apply for this program whenever it comes up next. And it's a great time to also stand up for causes you believe in, work, volunteer. These are some of the groups I worked with. Mentor is an initiative that some students of St. Stephen's College started, where we tried to get in touch with 11th, 12th girl students from the Navodaya Vidyalayas of India. And we used to mentor them about their career opportunities, career options after taking a bachelor's in science, in basic sciences, over medicine or engineering after class 11 and 12. Girl Up, many of you would have heard of, and Avya is Miranda House's animal welfare group. And here I was the first research head when Avya started in 2020 with another student from the maths department. And the placement cell of Miranda House was one of the main places where I learned about the different kinds of opportunities for undergrads um, in courses other than basic sciences. There were very few for basic science students, and that taught me a lot about what I was going to do next. And Miranda House's Unnat Bharat Abhiyan cell, many other colleges can have NSS or similar schemes where you can volunteer, you can help in organizing initiatives. Here, I and two of my friends, under the guidance of Dr. Nisha Vashish, we organized an educational video making competition, which I must say was quite successful. And we got lots of people to volunteer, make videos for um, class 6 to 8 NCRT topics. And then I tried to take my love for sleep to kids and gave a talk with this group called Talk to a Scientist. And I also started working on my passion project called Involvement, that stands for Internships, Volunteering, Mentorship, and Entrepreneurship Opportunities, where we try to make these opportunities more accessible for undergrad STEM students. This is the link to involvement. I'll also put the link in the chat box after I'm done talking and take you to the website. Here we post opportunities such in the form that I've shown here. We tell you about the basics, the application dates. Sometimes the application dates haven't been released for that year, so we tell you what the probable or tentative application dates are based on previous year's dates so that you can be prepared. The main problem about with us is that we don't know when to expect an internship application to open. So if we know what generally the time is, we can be prepared and we can watch out for it, and we try to help you do that. And we tell you the subject area, the duration, the location, and many a times nowadays online internships are also being organized, so you don't really need to worry about travel, which is also a good thing. And the third year is mostly spent in work experience, continuing that, and your graduate applications, may it be for um, these different entrance exams or for graduate applications to go abroad. Now, this is a screenshot representation of how I planned my graduate applications. I made an Excel sheet, and there I made these different categories and mapped out the places I needed to apply to, the application deadlines, when I wanted to finish the application by, the dates, what documents were required, how many reference letters, what's the IELTS or TOEFL required, and program link, application link, and so on. So this helped me map my whole year out, map how I needed to plan my applications, work on my essays, statements, and that was really helpful. So I urge you all to organize your probable application um, targets in a similar manner if it works for you. And in the third year, I also got a chance to work as part of my curriculum with fruit flies. And this is just a glimpse of how it was. We started the work at home. Dr. Yasha Yadav from my department, she was teaching me developmental biology and asked all us students to start a Drosophila culture at home. So this is what it looked like, the Drosophila culture, a humble setup, but so effective. And when college did reopen, we brought this whole thing to college and used all the sophisticated instrument to carry on the work. So this should tell you that if you're interested in some kind of a project and if you don't get a lab to do it, you can still do it on your own and start the work off on your own. And if then you approach a lab and tell them that I want to continue and this is what I've already done, they'll see your enthusiasm. And if not, you go and work with them, they can guide you on how to proceed on your own as well. So the opportunities are endless. You just need to look for them and ask for them. So all throughout these years, I tried to set my life goals, my career goals. It's okay if you're not able to, it's just 3 years, it's very little time. But my focus was on gaining as many skills as I could, considering the given circumstances, and do that through experiential learning. Sometimes you may be able to get some authorship on publications, but that shouldn't be your goal, publications. So even certificates, they don't matter in the long term, but if you can get them, they do help in documentation. It's a good thing sometimes. Most of all, you get to experience a professional atmosphere after school. This is the first time you'll get to work in a professional environment with diverse groups. I worked with mostly international groups apart from my two internships in India. I worked with a German group. I also, as part of the Indo-Dutch program, worked with Dutch people, interacted with them, and also, of course, with USA through my California, University of California internship. And throughout this thing, try to be steady with your grades because it's always important, but most of all, you need to have fun. And there's just a few points of advice that I like to give, that try to talk to your teachers and professors, draw from their journeys, their experiences, hang out with them too. You've no idea how much experience, how many insights they may hold. Discuss your intentions, your interests with them, and they'll really be able to guide you or just listen to you, if not anything. And that helps organize your own thoughts in your own brain a lot. Actively look out for new opportunities to learn. Surf the web, reach out, write emails. Don't be scared to write emails, but do it well. Do it ethically, effectively, like I said, efficiently, and write meaningful emails. And always try to integrate your knowledge from different disciplines you studied at schools, and look at the big picture. So you might know what your work exactly is. You might know the nitty gritties of it, what method you are using to achieve what end, why it is important, why it is cool. But if you're not able to explain it to someone who's not from your field, it will be of no use. You always have to look at the big picture, the implications of your work, and you have to be able to convey that to the person sitting in front of you. And now that person might also be someone who's interviewing you. So they have to be convinced. And believe in your interests. When I started off, I and told people that I was interested in sleep, not many people were very encouraging of it. But if you believe in them and you stand your ground, find like-minded people, and are able to establish your interest in it, your intent to pursue it, then there's nothing to stop you. You really need to find your friends. You need to choose your battles. You can't um really, it's very difficult to work on everything you like. You have to pick what is most worth your time. Now, this was mostly that. And in the third year, yes, I also applied for the Rhodes Scholarship. Now, the Rhodes Scholarship, for those of you who don't know about it, it was established in 1902, 1903, and it's the oldest international scholarship program in the world. And it provides a full-time postgraduate scholarship to study at the University of Oxford. And there are several constituencies of the Rhodes Scholarship, Rhodes Trust. These are simply different countries or groups of countries from where people can apply. And the nice thing is that now people from anywhere in the world can apply for the Rhodes Scholarship, provided they fit the eligibility criteria. So India as a constituency provides 5 scholarships per year. Now there are 4 Rhodes criteria that if you for selection for people. First is academic excellence. You should, in order to get into the University of Oxford, where applications are very competitive, you should have a good academic record. Second is energy to use your talents to the fullest, like mastery in areas like sports, music, debate, and all of which they have written, particularly where teamwork is involved. You can find all of these things on the Rhodes Trust website. Now, having said that, some people, they have a misconception that you have to be very sporty or you have to be totally involved in maybe singing or theater or drama in order to get this scholarship. Although it is a good thing to be into these things, but sometimes you're just not able to, and you are not. And apart from this, you fit into all the different criteria. That should not stop you from applying. Then truth, courage, devotion to duty, sympathy for and protection of the weak, kindliness, unselfishness, and fellowship. These all relate to what the Rhodes Trust stands for. This scholarship just does not give you money or just does not fund you for your postgraduate study, but it also prepares you to be a good leader. So they look for these qualities to start off with. What you think about yourself, where you place yourself in the world, and what you think are the grand challenges of the world is what they want to know through the application. And moral force of character, instincts to lead, take interest in one's fellow beings. Now, instincts to lead doesn't mean that you have to be CEO of your own organization or have a startup. It might just be simple things like maybe being heading some event of your department, of your college department, or heading a small study group with your friends, organizing meetings. Those things are fine too. Anything where you led, where you organized things, where you took an interest in, helping others with yourself, that's fine, you can mention it. Now, having said all of these things, I would want all of you to go to this page. This is the Rhodes Trust page, where they first explain what the Rhodes Scholarship is, tell you about the selection criteria, but also try to dispel the many myths related to the Rhodes Scholarship, the Rhodes Scholars. Please look at these very short videos. And I also encourage you to check out the Rhodes Trust's social media pages. Instagram, if you like, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's similar everywhere. They have some very good content. In fact, on Instagram, they have a scholar takeover going on right now. One of the previous years scholar who's in residence at Oxford, who's studying at Oxford with a scholarship right now. She is answering many questions related to the scholarship and life at Oxford. So any of you who wants to know more, please go and put your questions up in the story question box thing, and it will be answered. And before applying, you can also check your eligibility. This is a new feature. There's an eligibility checker. um, this is what you, once you've checked your eligibility, it brings you, if you select the India constituency, it brings you to this page. Now, before anything, you should all know that August 1, midnight of August 1 is the deadline, and there's no application fee for this scholarship. So please do apply for it. The worst thing you can do if you want a Rhodes Scholarship is to not apply for it because you think that you're not good enough. Many people just get intimidated and don't apply at all. Do not do that. Please do apply. Now, check out this page. You see that there's this green box where they have some downloadable material. Now, please download these things. This is very important. Information for candidates tells you about all the documents that are required. Guidance for referees is what you will send to the people who will write your letters of recommendation or your reference letters. And the unofficial guide. Now, each one of you who wants this scholarship or is applying to it, please go through the unofficial guide. This is the alternative guide or unofficial guide, where all previous year's scholars, including my batch of scholars, have put excerpts from our own written personal statements and essays, and lots of tips about all the different components of the scholarship application. Please go through this and read it several times. The more you read it, it's a long document, so the more you read it, the more you derive meaning from it. Now, I'm just going to quickly tell you about the overview of the application process. Now, first, there is a written application round, which is what is going on right now. After that, they will screen and invite a few students or applicants for the preliminary interview round. Then there's a semi-final interview. Sometimes this does not happen, but in our case, it did happen. And there's a social engagement and final interview on the same day. Okay, so depending on how the COVID situation is, all of this can be online or it can be offline. But the first round, the written application round, is always online. So you don't have to post anything. You just need to upload to a application portal. Now they'll ask for some documents, basic documentation, ID, etc. A personal statement of 750 words. And this time they have given 3 prompts. Okay, if you check out the website, you'll find the prompts. 3 prompts where they ask you to introspect on self, others, and the world. Your views about yourself, how self aware you are, others, the people around you, how you can help them, and the world, what are the challenges of the world. All of these prompts, go through them very carefully, and the academic statement of study, 350 words. So the personal statement, 750 words, it's your opportunity to provide a overarching view of the whys behind all of the things you mention in your academic statement or your CV. Okay. In your CV, you will write down all the things you've done. In your academic statement of study, you will talk about why you want to study at Oxford, what you want to study there, um, which course, and if you want to apply for a DPhil, which is PhD basically, if you want to apply for that, then is there a potential supervisor you've already reached out to? What kind of a project could you perhaps do with them? Those kinds of things. So it is advised that if you want to apply for a DPhil directly, which you can do with a bachelor's in honors degree, BSc honors or BA honors if you have, then you can directly apply for a DPhil also. And if you would like to do that, then it is advised that you get in touch with a potential supervisor, a person who will supervise your work. And the way to do that is again through email. Or you must go through the course, the DPhil course you're applying to, you must go through their website on the Oxford website, and see how to get in touch with supervisors or whether or not it is required. Each department has its own way of working. And you mention all of those things in the academic statement of study, but in the personal statement, you show yourself as a person and why you did all of these things. So, like I said, the big picture has to come through. And whatever you write in your statements must be coherent with the person you actually are. In the preliminary interview, they will try to find the aspects of you that you have put in your written statements. They'll try to find it on your person. They can ask you about your academics, they can ask you about your extracurriculars. It can be anything that you've mentioned. Anything that you've mentioned can be asked. And you'll also need a set of reference letters. There can be 4 or 5. There's an option this time. 3 must be academic, meaning that they must be from people who have given you grades formally. And 1 or 2 letters, if you want, you can have 2 letters. If you put 1, even that is fine. Must be character references. Now, character references are people who know you well. Maybe they could be conveners of societies you've been part of, college societies. They could be people in NGOs who you have worked under. They can be your internship guides, your mentors, anything. They should know you well. They should be able to talk about how you are as a person, how you function in a professional atmosphere, those kinds of things. All of the details of what is required from different kinds of reference letters are given in the document titled Guidance for Referees. Also note that the deadline for submitting references is different from that of submitting the application. By August 16, which is 15 days more than the application deadline, all the references must be submitted. And that happens like this. You, after taking permission from your referees, you provide their email and contact details on the application form. And once that is done, they receive an email, a link where they upload their letters. Okay, and that was mostly about the overview of how the scholarship application works. I'll be happy to take any questions you might have around these. And before I end, I want to uh, tell you all that it's very important to document your experiences. If you all look at your classmates, most of you might be doing similar stuff, similar internships, working on similar coursework, societies, those sorts of things. But if you document your experiences in your own way that you find comfortable, it will really make your CV stand out. What I mean by that is writing. So I wrote a few of these articles throughout my undergrad years, and they were published in these two uh, websites, these two places. I also wrote for my department magazine, your department magazine, blogs, and podcasts, society podcasts. This is the Environment Society of Miranda House, MH Vatavaran, where I contributed a video on the birds of North Bengal when they were doing a Himalayas series. And this was a podcast where I spoke about different animals that are used in labs. So these are all different means or different media of communicating your experiences, and that really makes your the way people look at you different. And then after getting the scholarship, these were some interviews and things I wrote. So you always try to help others so that they can draw from your experiences. And that was mostly about my talk. Thank you. And I'll be happy to take any questions if you have.
Thank you so much, Ritika Di, and it was indeed informative and enlightening session. And I'm sure our audience is waiting eagerly, so I'll directly move towards them. Anyone who has any doubts or queries or anything they want to speak, please raise your hands, and you can also drop your questions in the chat box. We have first question from Pratul. You can please unmute and ask your question.
Am I clearly audible?
Yes.
Yeah, firstly, Ritika, thank you so much for the session. I am a freshman from SRCC. I have a very simple question to you because it's relevant to me as a first year. Should I aim for prestigious internships, which gives me experience, or should I stick myself to relevant career or goal-oriented internships, which might not necessarily be that prestigious?
I think you should stick to the latter. Prestigious internships, what determines the prestige of an internship is purely going to be what you derive from it. So, if it is goal oriented and meaningful, then it's going to be way more valuable than an internship at a very nice labeled institution, but one that you didn't learn a lot from. So, if you have something in mind, if you want to do a project and someone, maybe not from a very big institution, is ready to take you up, help you, guide you, then go for it. If you think it'll make a difference, impact somebody, someone in the world.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Anyone else has any doubts?
Okay, so the yesterday we were talking about some of the work in Oxford and Cambridge. So it was a incomplete talk yesterday, so I just want to complete this thing. So you
Mhm.
were suggesting me to do a DPhil in from the Department of Zoology, right? So I was just assuming if it is possible to do a DPhil directly, or there must be an intermediate master's that is required.
Yeah, great question. Um, for So basically, you don't need a master's. If you have a bachelor's degree with honors, BSc honors or BA honors, you can directly apply for a DPhil. You don't need a master's degree. But if you would like to do a master's degree, that's also an option. Um, in general, it's an option, but if you want to do it through the Rhodes Scholarship, the way I am doing it, it works like this. So the first year is the master's year. Master's is for 1 year. That is funded by the Rhodes Scholarship. Then starts my DPhil. So in the DPhil, the first 2 years are also funded by the Rhodes Scholarship, but the final year, that is the fourth year, is going to be funded by another source, and that source is not very difficult to come by. In my case, it's going to be through a another scholarship program called the Clarendon Fund Scholarship. So yeah, there are both ways. Anything
Okay,
works.
thank you, Dee.
Pratul, you can go ahead and ask your question.
So I just had like one little bit question. This is something very personal because I think, is there any worth of pursuing your personal project if it comes at the expense of maintaining a very high track record of GPA? Because doing a passion project, for example, is really gives a lot of exposure. But for example, if that ends me up with like 8.9 or a 9 GPA, will colleges still consider me as a holistic applicant, or do you think there's more nuances to it?
Okay. So I think so it might you might feel differently, but I think you should go ahead with your passion projects as well. So in my first year, I didn't score that great. I got like 8.99, those kinds of the GPAs you mentioned. But after that, I had to really step up my grade game, and I got way better marks. And I hope I continue to get good marks, in my final sem as well. But a passion project really helps if you are confident and if you really want to do it. If you think you can get something useful out of it, I think you should go for it. And what I learned in the 3 years of studying here is that if you really pay attention in class and don't sleep and don't be on Instagram during class, then you get most of the things, you understand most of the things, and you don't really have to put in a lot of time after class. So that's why I was very regular with my classes, and that really helped me keep studying and score good marks alongside these projects that I was working on. At one point, I was working on several projects at once. All of them I was passionate about or wanted to keep pursuing, but sometimes it doesn't work out. You need to drop a few. So if there's one particular thing that you really want to work on, one particular thing, then I think you should go for it. And yeah,
Thank you so much. That was a very insightful one.
I hope it answers your question and helps. And thanks for your question. Gladson has a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, first of all, congratulations, Ritika, on getting the Rhodes Scholarship. I just have a very query similar to Pratul. Actually, during the first year of my college, because of illness, I failed.
Mm-hmm.
And now that is something really daunting me. And I think a kind of a demotivation that whether I will be really fit in the scholarship requirement, which is the academic requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of courage to me, even right now, to share this thing. So, what are your insights on that? As someone who has failed in the first year, should someone go and apply? And yeah.
I think you must apply. You had a reason, and there is a category in the application called extenuating circumstances. This category is there not just in the Oxford application but also in the Rhodes Scholarship application. So anything that you have, any reason, thank you first of all for sharing this with us. Really appreciate your courage. And anything that you have to mention, you must put it there. And yeah, it's an experience, a part of your life that probably, I'm sure, left a mark on you, that shaped your thoughts for what you'll do next, right? It's a valuable part, a very important part of your journey, of your story. So mentioning it on your application is very good. I mean, takes a lot of courage, and you're ready to take it, so you must put it there. And if indeed there has been some kind of reason, like you mentioned, because of which you couldn't score very highly or failed in the first year, and you can prove it, then you shouldn't worry about it. You must apply.
Thank you so much. Just one follow-up question regarding reaching out to professors for DPhil. Should we
Mhm.
start like a year? If you're applying next year, should we start from now onwards, or like what would be appropriate timing?
Now start now, as soon as possible, irrespective of whether you're applying to Oxford or Cambridge or anywhere. Actually, start now. It takes a lot of time. to think of projects or get replies. Sometimes you write to them, they don't really reply, so you have to write to someone else. So you have to start early. Now is a good time to start.
All right. Thank you so much.
We have another question in the chat box. It's by Sneha. Could you please briefly talk about the structure you followed to formulate your CV?
Yes, Sneha, sure. So I have a 2-page CV. I try to limit it to 2 pages. Even in the Rhodes Scholarship application, they'll ask you for just 2 pages, and they'll specify the font size, etc., that you can use. But in general, also, it should not, I think, exceed 2 to 3 pages. First, you mention your educational qualifications. Um, you can use any order, chronological order. Recent to old is, I think, preferred. Then you talk about your current occupation. So if you're involved in some kind of project or some kind of internship program, you mention those things. um, Following which, you can write about previous projects or previous occupations you have had. Then if you have any publications, you put those in. They could be not just academic publications, but also like the ones I showed you, articles, blogs, uh, podcasts, videos, whatever. And then organizational activities, like volunteer work, department work, all of those things, um, NGOs, things like that. Mm, then after organizational activities, if there's anything else you'd like to mention, like extracurricular activities, yes, you must have a section for extracurricular activities. And the order is up to you. Whichever you think makes your application or your person stand out more, you can keep that order. And you can also add some other skills. So it's a good idea to have one title called skills, where you can put down the working skills you have. Like if you're good at coding, you put that there. You can specify which programs you're good at. If you're good at XYZ, PCR technology, whatever, you can put those things down. Any courses you've taken, like courses or workshops. For example, I have a section where I've written about my biostats course, about the add-on courses I took, those kinds of things. And you can also have a section where you, if there is space left and if you think it's valuable, you can write about your hobbies, your other skills, such as for me it was wildlife videography, singing, dance, not dance, skating, those kinds of things. My pleasure.
I think that answered your question, Sneha. The next question we have from okay, Sneha is saying thank you so much, Dee. And the next question is from Divya. She's asking how you came to know about various projects and internship programs in your field. Where do I look for that?
Okay, hi Divya, thank you for your question. I came to know through a lot of painstaking Google searches, and just so that not everyone has to go through that, I'm going to share my screen again. I worked on my passion project, Involvement, that I told you about briefly. I'll show you the web page. This is what Involvement looks like. And here we talk about STEM opportunities. I'm not sure what your background is, but this is for sciences, basic sciences. And we try to very briefly put out details about different opportunities here. Um, I can put the link in the chat box for the sciences students so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. We have a section for master's students as well. And Divya, can you tell me what your background is? Like, if you're from the sciences, then it'll be relevant for you.
Hi, it's chemistry. Hi, Ritika, it's chemistry.
Great then. Yeah, so you'll find a lot of the listings for opportunities here in this link. And apart from internship programs, the different projects, the places I reached out through email, that I did by reading. So when I'm reading a paper that I find interesting, I always make it a point to look at who the authors are and which institutions they come from. So if their institution has a formal internship program that I can apply to, I make it a point to apply for that. But if they don't, then I write an email to them and ask if they are willing to take interns. That's how I do it.
Uh, okay, we have a lot of questions from our registration forms as well,
All right.
and we would like to take a few of them. So the first is how to bag internships abroad. What are the various scholarships one can apply for?
All right. For internships abroad, you need funding, right? So for funding, there are a few sources, such as the Inlax Shiv Dasani Foundation. This provides, I'll put it in the, you can find information about this on the involvement page as well, but still put the name down. The Inlak Dasani Foundation, it funds, if you already have a project that you want to do abroad, you have acceptance from the advisor and from the university, then you can apply for this fund and they give you the money to go there and a particular amount of fund to carry that research out. There's another one, if you want to do similar work in France. Then there's another fund called the Sharpak Labs Fund. Check that out as well. Again, you can find it on Involvement's website. Apart from this, institutional funding, like if you're working with a project, if you're working with a research group that already has funding, they can probably pay for your travel as well. If you will have to request for it, if not, you might have to self-fund it. But apart from that, if you can do it online like I did, it doesn't require any money at all. Most places, if there's some kind of specialized software you need for your work or your online research work, then they can be provided through the licenses of the research group you are working with. So you don't need to pay for that as well. If you do, then you can ask your institution. There's always some sort of fund for these kinds of things. And apart from Inlax and Charpak Labs, there are also a few others that occasionally crop up. I'm not sure if they are very regular, but you can still check them out. One of which that used to be very regular is called the IUSSTF Khorana program. They haven't released applications for I think 2 years now, but it's a very prestigious internship opportunity to study to do an internship in the US. I'm sorry if there's a little bit of noise. There's some construction going on. And apart from IUSSTF Khorana, there's another one called IUSSTF Viterbi. Again, you can find information on involvement. And yeah, these are a few things that you can check out if you like.
Dee, we would like to take a few more questions.
Mhm.
Another one is, do tier 2 colleges stand a chance for Rhodes?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that
Tier
too.
2 colleges stand a chance for Rhodes.
Your college background does not matter. Whether you come from a well-known college or a not so well-known college, that does not matter at all. In fact, if you come from a lesser known college, then that will have added to your experience. You'll have an experience of your study that will be different from what generally people would have from well known colleges. And if you're able to put that as part of your story nicely, it'll just enhance your application. So, tier 1, tier 2, whatever it is, you must apply. And I don't think throughout my experience of interacting with the Rhodes Trust, the interview people, the people who process applications, I've never come across any such biases of depending on where the student comes from. And I mean, I'm not sure about India, but I've seen students from many of the other constituencies, many of the other countries, like the African countries, even in the USA. Many students from lesser known colleges are getting the scholarship, and definitely you stand an equal chance. You just need to be confident about it.
I think Divya have another question. Divya, you can please speak up.
Um, Hi Ritika. So what happened last year? My application got accepted, but I could not make clear the preliminary interview. Maybe because I was not able to interpret the question they were asking. So can you please help me with that? Like how to basically get the question, and because I fumbled a lot and I could not basically get what they were trying to ask.
Okay, whenever you're not clear about what the question means, first of all, do not hesitate to ask again. You can always tell them that this is what I understood of your question. Am I right? Or is there something I'm missing? Or you can just ask them to repeat the question. There is no problem there. And even then, if you do not understand, you can tell them what you did understand, like I said, and you know, try. Just don't end the conversation there. Do not fumble and खत्म मत करो वहाँ पे. You try to carry it forward in whichever manner you can. Even after twice asking the question, you do not get it, then you tell them what you got and you take it ahead. Give them something else to question you about, maybe. Right? That's how I would do it, and I did it also in once in my 3 interviews. And so once I didn't understand one of the questions they were asking, they repeated it twice, I didn't get it. Then I asked them to rephrase it for me. They did that, and then I got it, and then I answered it. So there's no problem in asking them to rephrase it. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, yes. Also, is that means you can apply only twice in Rhodes Scholarship? Is that this thing? Like, yeah.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, that is true. You can apply twice, but just check once again in case. I'm not
Mhm.
very sure, but yeah, that's what I had also read. You can apply twice. You can also check
Okay.
out the other scholarships, right? I mean, I'm sure you know about the Oxbridge Scholarship, Felix, then the Shevening Scholarship, right? You
And
can.
actually, I was going to ask you, like, can you please give a list of scholarships you applied to? Like, you might have applied to more than one scholarship, of course.
Yeah, I actually applied to the Rhodes Scholarship because the application is the earliest to open and it's the lengthiest. So I applied to this. I was also preparing my applications for the evening scholarship, but I didn't complete it because I got the Rhodes Scholarship, so I didn't complete that one. But apart from that, a few others that I was planning to apply to was the DAAD scholarships for Germany. Then for there were some universities in the Netherlands that I found very interesting and I wanted to get there. For those, I was planning to apply to the Orange Tulip scholarships. For USA, now there's the Quad scholarship that you must all check out. It's new. Um, there are some others also. There's one called the Gates Cambridge Scholarship that is for Cambridge. For UK, there is Chevening and Rhodes, of course, and yeah, Oxbridge is one of the scholarships. So for particularly what happens is, if you don't get the roads or if you don't have any funding beforehand, if you do get accepted for a course at Oxford, then there are many ways to get funding from Oxford as well for your studies. So since Oxford is a university, like every university, there are many colleges in Oxford. So there's St. John's College, there's Hertford College, many other colleges. And each college, once you get into a college, you can, they also sometimes select students for funding. They can fund maybe the tuition or some part of your expenses. So that is one way. So if you don't get one Rhodes Scholarship, doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply to Oxford at all. And there's another scholarship scheme, like I said, the Clarendon Fund Scholarship that the Oxford University Press provides, and it's to, I think, nearly 100 scholars per year. You should check. Um, that also is a fully funded postgraduate study scholarship that takes care of both your accommodation and your tuition expenses. So do apply to Oxford if there's a course that you're interested in, because there are many sources of funding that you can ultimately secure. um, yeah, and for also, if you're interested in studying in Japan, there's the MEXT scholarship also, MEXT. Yeah, these are the ones I can remember at the moment.
All right. Divya, do you have any other query? Am I audible, Kushi?
Hello, yeah. Thank you, Ritika. Thank you. One last question. Where did you came to know about all these like scholarships? From the Google only, the search and everything.
Yeah, from
Uh,
Google. And I spoke to some of my seniors also.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Can you also? Yes.
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. The Commonwealth Master Scholarship, you must apply for that. It's a very good scholarship. Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The just in continuation with this, like you mentioned, Chevening scholarship. So one of the criteria is they require works of art, means hours of work that we have done throughout our undergraduates. So how does that work? Like there are specified number of hours that you should be working as an intern or in a professional job. So how
Yeah.
does these things work? How can we count our number of work hours, and how should we know that okay, this much we have done so far?
Yeah. Um, so you must try to give your best estimate. So I'm not probably the best person to guide you with achieving scholarship. The way I approached the problem was to give an estimate of working job with some German researchers. So that carried on for nearly 6 months, and I used to get a remuneration from it. So I could very nicely quantify the work hours from there. But apart from that, before I got into my University of California internship, I had an agreement, a verbal agreement with my mentor, that I would be able to give 10 hours of work per week. So that's how I counted that one. I just counted the number of weeks and multiplied it by 10. So yeah, that's the way I did it. And apart from that, if there was something that didn't have any specified work hours, I wrote to my mentors in those internships saying that this is the logic behind me putting these many work hours to this project. Do you think it's all right? So if they said okay, then I would write that within the application.
Okay, okay, Deep.
Yeah,
Udita, are there any more questions?
yeah, we have two questions in the chat box.
Oh,
So if the time allow, can we take them up,
yeah,
Ritika
yeah,
ji?
yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so we have one question from Sapna, that a person with no prior work experience and very less internships in undergrad can apply or get selected for Rhodes or any other scholarship abroad. And a similar question is there in our registration form, that I couldn't take part in research internships, workshops, etc. in my first and second year of graduation. So,
Mhm.
will it be okay if I look for some opportunities now in my third year, or what else I can do now?
Okay, let me answer the second question first. You can look for work experience opportunities in your third year. In fact, many of the formal internship programs prefer that you be in your second or third year for them to pick you. So it's definitely a great thing to do, because you also have more chance to get selected. So definitely try. And what can you do? You can do all of these things. In fact, some of the internship programs that are open for master's students also take in final year undergraduate students. You can check that out again on involvement. There's a master's page, and wherever it is applicable to bachelor students also it is mentioned. um, and with no prior work experience and very less internships. So internships also count as work experience. You don't need to be working in an organization and earning money per se for it to be called work experience. Internships are also work experience. In undergrad, yes, you can apply and get selected. So I'm not sure what you mean by less. If less means that the amount of work you did is less in total, but if the little work you did is valuable, then there's nothing stopping you. If you didn't do a lot of work and whatever you did wasn't very important to you, even then it must have taught you something. It could have told you that whatever you worked on wasn't very interesting and you should move on. So what you derive from your experiences and convey to the interviewers and in your applications is totally up to you. There is so much that you can draw from every experience you have from your life if you introspect and really look into it. Even if you've done just one internship, that could also be very meaningful for you. Even if it doesn't contribute a lot in a professional capacity, it could have contributed in your personality building in a personal capacity. So think about that before dismissing your work, anything you've done in the past, because if you have a way to prove that you've done it, then you should not totally say that it doesn't count.
We have another question from Pratul. Is it advised in second year to seek admission counseling entities externally?
Oh, okay. I never got in touch with a counseling body, so I'm not very sure about how those things work. But depending on on my conversations with my seniors who are doing similar things now, my peers who applied to places abroad, got selected, or even in India, none of us were you know taking counseling from any entity externally. And the thing is, I feel from the little that I have heard, counseling bodies, they try to tell you what is the best mold or the best outline for getting selected, and they try to stereotype applications. I think, I'm not sure. Again, this is a disclaimer. I've never sought one myself, but um, what you really need, I think, for getting into a good program is to be unique, is to stand out, and that goes against the idea of stereotyping a good application or putting you in a mold. So one thing that the Rhodes Trust always says, that there is no type for um, for a Rhodes Scholar. There's no one type. There's no one way of telling your story to get this scholarship, or for that matter any scholarship. So you just, I think, be confident in yourself, in your own story. Try to be able to put it out well. If you need help in writing it well, then talk to your mentors, talk to your professors, teachers, show them your drafts, essay drafts. I think they can give you a lot of good counseling as well. I don't think you need to spend money on something separate. Yeah. Sneha, I can read the questions. Should I
Yeah,
take the
sure.
questions from the chat box, Sudhita? Or do you... Okay. Sneha asks, do GRE scores matter? GRE scores do not matter mostly, because it depends on the course you want to apply to at Oxford or wherever. Now, I have seen that many places for sciences, they have asked not to give GRE scores. They are either optional or not required at all. So, depending on what course in which college you want to apply to, please check whether or not they seek GRE scores. But more or less, they are doing away with that requirement totally. So, check that out. But yeah, most places don't need it. Like in most cases, most places in Oxford and even UCLA, which is another place I really wanted to apply to, they didn't require GRE scores. Divya's asking, can we apply for Rhodes Scholarship or any other scholarship while doing masters? Yeah. So postgraduate study means that you can also do a PhD, right, with this Rhodes Scholarship, or you can do another master's. That doesn't matter. You can definitely have done a master's and then apply. There's no problem. Gladson, you want to ask a question?
Yes, I just have two questions regarding preliminary interview. Are they like technical based where we have panel from our field asking questions related to our field? Could you shed some light on that?
Um, there won't be many people from your field, so there could be like around 4 to 6 people on the panel. There could be 1 or 2 people who are from your field, and most others won't be from your field. That's how it was in my case. Um, in the preliminary interview, they will firstly and most importantly try to see whether you are the same person that you've portrayed in your written statements. Second, they will ask you a few academic questions. I think for me, it was quite basic. It was related to my research in sleep, why I did it. But they also asked me about the big picture, like I've been saying on and off, the big picture, why it is important. So one of my interview members was a architect, a person who planned cities, and she asked me, how could sleep be improved in XYZ community uh, by, you know, maybe altering city planning. So they may ask you to think in those ways, ways in which you might never have approached the problem before. So you really have to be calm during that interview. And but I've also heard of instances where some technical, like really technical questions were asked. So one tip that I always give for such situations where you don't really know the answer to a question is, you tell the panel what little you know of related to the question they've asked. And if you don't know anything at all, you can tell them about something related to what they know, what they asked you, and tell them that based on these things that I know, I'm trying to make a guess that this could be the probable answer to your question. So that way, you're showing them that you may not have the exact subject knowledge, but you know how to think and how to approach a problem to provide an answer, um, a probable answer at least. You can show them that you are able to hypothesize. So you could maybe try that if you are in a similar situation.
All
Does
right.
that answer your question?
Yes. So I'm just curious, like, what follows in the semi-interview and the final interview with dinner? So it seems like all the interviews are more or less similar, where they try to know us in general. So are all interviews similar, kind of like where they are trying to explore us as a person, or like?
Yeah. So the broad, aim of the interviews, like you said, are trying to get to know you as a person. But as you'll realize while you write your essays, they are asking you to tell them about many different parts of your personality, your academics, your background, your extracurriculars, right? So in some interviews, they'll also ask you about your extracurriculars and why you do those, and how you can, maybe integrate it with your work ahead. So those kinds of things. It's like they can ask you anything related to whatever is there in your essays. And one thing that I found particularly useful between each interview round was that once you get an email that you've been selected for the next interview round, they also provide you with an alternative guide, an unofficial alternative guide where all the previous years' scholars give their tips and narrate their own experiences. So make sure you do go through that. And sometimes in the interviews, they might try to, see how you perform under pressure. They will never try to demean you or something like that, but they try to pressurize you a little bit. It's part of the process. You just need to hold your ground. If there's something you're saying that one of the panelists does not agree with and they counter you, then you have to take it um, in good stride. You have to consider their argument, and if they are right, then you say that they are right. If they are not right and you still believe in your idea, then you tell them why you do that. Stand your ground. So the biggest thing for an interview is, I feel, that you need to have a good conversation. Before you enter, just think of it as a good conversation, and think of it as a chance to talk to some really cool people that you might never maybe interact with again. So that's how it is. And but for my interviews specifically, my panelists were seldom from my field, and I had to really put my work in a way that an economist also understood why it is important to study sleep in seals. So yeah, that's how it was.
All
uh,
right.
and Gladson, also you could read that interview link where I so there's this talk I gave in one place called the Maharaja Agrasen Armed Forces Preparatory Institute. Sorry, Maharaja Ranjit Singh Armed Forces Preparatory Institute, my bad. There I've spoken in detail about all the different interviews I gave. You could check that talk out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. My last question, and it would be brief, is that I have heard that many people apply for masters, but later on they change it once get selected into DPhil.
Mhm.
So, could you please elaborate if you have any idea on that?
Mm, they change it into DPhil. Okay, so I don't know very well because I have not gone there yet. I'll go in September, but there is a way, as far as I have read, to transition it into a DPhil. Now, first of all, the master's course is just 1 year long. So most people finish their masters before and then go into a new DPhil, but um, for transitioning from masters to DPhil, you need to write an application of some sorts, and it does happen sometimes. I'm not very sure how it works. Also, another thing that I think everyone should know is that if you don't do a master's at Oxford and you want to do an undergrad course, you can do that as well, but that is called a BA with senior status. Okay, what it means is that instead of joining the undergrad degree from the first year itself, you join it in the last 2 years. So you do just 2 years of the undergrad degree. So that's also another way of going about it. And again, there is a way to convert that BA with senior status into an MA as well. So yeah, it is possible for these transitions to happen, but I'm not very sure of how it works. So
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
my pleasure. Okay, Divya wants to know, did you give IELTS? Did you apply to colleges separately apart from? Yeah. Okay, so I did give IELTS, but it's not particularly necessary to give IELTS. For this scholarship, the Rhodes Scholarship, you don't need to give IELTS before getting the scholarship. Um, for studying at Oxford, also, there's a way to get a language waiver if you're able to provide an application, a letter of sorts from your institution saying that you did all your education in English and you're fluent, and you get that sent to Oxford, then you might not even have to give any sort of language test. So that is also possible, and you can indicate that in your Oxford application form. And if in case you are required to give an IELTS exam or a TOEFL exam, the Rhodes Trust also funds it in some cases. So that's a possibility. So this is not something that you need to consider right now, is what I'd say. Um, No, I did not apply to colleges separately. Do you mean Oxford colleges or colleges in general? So if you're talking about colleges in general, yes, I did apply to them, but since I got the Rhodes, I didn't pursue them. Uh, if you mean colleges at Oxford, the way it works is that you apply to the university and not to a particular college. And then the different colleges at Oxford University, they look at your application and send you an offer. So when you're applying to the University of Oxford, you can indicate your preference of colleges. It's not necessary to have a preference either. And they send you the offer. And you have to accept the offer, because if you don't, then your university offer also gets cancelled. You'll know more about that when you get into the process. Which colleges particularly did I apply to? So in general, I applied to UCLA, and I was planning on applying to mm, the Max Planck Institute and Cambridge and Oxford mostly. In Oxford, I will be going to St. John's College and a few other colleges that I found, or on talking to people, I found that they might be a good choice for my neuroscience course, were Merton College and Hertford College. But St. John's was my first preference, and I got that, so that's where I'll be going. Sneha wants to know, does the stream of course and background of the bachelor's matter while you're applying to scholarship for master's and in the college itself? Um, the course and background of your bachelor's does matter when you're applying, but that matters only in the light of what you're applying for. So sometimes there have been cases where people from economics want to study a master's in physics or something like that. So people do change courses, do change streams after their bachelor's as well. In this scholarship also and in general also, the key to succeeding at this is to very nicely be able to convey the rationale behind why you want to change your stream. And if you're, since I can see that you're from zoology, so what if a zoology honors student or chemistry are applying for MBA in Oxford, and then yeah, you can do that definitely. You can do that. That, like I said, you need to be able to tell them why you're doing it, and you need to be able to convince them about that. That's all you need to do. You can definitely do this. There's no issue. Um, at OC, okay. You want a link to the talk? I can send you that link. Udita, is there any other question I can answer? I'll give him the link in the meanwhile.
No, I think we should wrap up because
Excuse me, where we can find the recording of this meeting?
The interview tips one, you mean?
The recording of this talk.
Of this talk. Okay.
Yeah, you will be getting this in our YouTube channel itself. So we will be mailing all the participants the link. Don't worry.
All right, thank you.
And for those who would like to watch the interview tips talk, I've put the link in the chat box.
So I think that was all from audience side, and with your permission, we would like to wrap up the event, Ritika Di.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I hope it was helpful.
It was very enlightening and insightful. Thank you so much, Di. And I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Ritika Mukherji for taking out her time from her busy schedule and organizing such an interactive session. I would also like to extend sincere thanks to our principal ma'am, staff advisors Dr. Nisha Vasista and Dr. Yasha Yadav ma'am, union members, and the audience for making this session a success. I congratulate all the participants for their active participation. And thank you once again to one and all present here. We are grateful for your words, and of encouragement, and this session filled with knowledge and guidance. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you for coming, and thank you so much, everyone, for your wishes and thanks in the comments in the chat box. And thanks for coming today for your time. And I really hope that you guys apply to the scholarship and are able to make it wherever you like. And all the best. Thank you. Thanks, Kushi Udita, for hosting this session. I had a great time.
Thank you so much, Dee. We really hope much more success for your upcoming years.
Thank you,
Thank
Dee. All
you.
the best.
And thank you all the participants. I hope you enjoyed this session.
And anyone, please feel free to get in touch with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, or I can leave my email ID in the chat box. You can also write to me. Actually, my email ID is available um, with the recordings and everything, so you can get in touch with me if you'd like with any queries. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye.